You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. All right, so Joe Scarborough, he had Frank Luntz on, you know, Kevin McCarthy's roommate. Mm-hmm. And Frank Luntz, I don't know what it is about Frank Luntz. Why does he want people to know that he wears a toupee? He's a multi-millionaire. He lives in a mansion in Brentwood, California. He's got this big party pad where he was living with Kevin McCarthy in D.C. For some reason, it's some weird thing with him. He wants people
you know what I think? You know how Lisa Rinna has a signature hairdo? She's had the same hairstyle for 30 years. I think he thinks it's his trademark. You know how people never change their hairstyle?
Yeah.
Like June Allison had the same hairdo her whole life. They want people to recognize them, and that's now become part of his identity. And if he goes bald or gets real hair, people won't recognize him anymore.
Frank Luntz's toupee, to me, looks like the lint out of the lint screen of the clothes dryer when you haven't taken the lint out in a long, long time. But anyway, Joe Scarborough had Frank Luntz on this morning, and we got to see live on MSNBC one of Frank Luntz's focus groups. And it's a focus group. You could see all these people. They were like on Zoom call, like it was the height of COVID, right? They couldn't be in a room, so they're all on Zoom. You can see their faces. You see their names. And it's a focus group on Trump. And of course, they are Trump voters. They're Trump voters. And they're showing their faces, and they got their names out there. So let me play this for you.
Let me try to guess how this is going to go.
Well, let's listen to it and find out, Kathy.
Okay.
All right. This is, you would not guess this one. This goes in a different way in the end than you would expect. It's so pathetic. Anyway, here's the Luntz focus group, and you'll hear Morning Joe a little bit in the beginning.
Well, you asked a group of the Republicans to briefly describe Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Let's take a look to see what they had to say.
First, one word or phrase that you would use to describe Donald Trump right now.
Stay off Twitter.
That's not one word. Stay off Twitter. That's
said
three
or
words.
Phrase.
Or phrase. Oh, he said or phrase. Okay.
Yeah.
Stay. Now, the thing about this, okay, you've got a whole group of Trump supporters. If you went to a Trump rally, I don't think you could find two people that would say something negative about Trump who are real Trump supporters.
No, these aren't real Trump supporters.
But Frank Luntz found a whole bunch of them. Listen.
First, one word or phrase that you would use to describe Donald Trump right now.
Stay off Twitter.
Jamie from Iowa.
I was just going to say the same thing. His new one that he's on, I think he needs to take a break from that one.
Becky.
Okay. Now, what Trump supporter wants Trump to stay off Twitter, and this other one wants him off Twitter and Truth?
She doesn't even know the name of Truth, so what kind of a Trump supporter is she?
Yeah, a fake one.
A narcissist.
Lisa.
That narcissist.
This is so fake.
And it's so hilarious because they're showing their face and names, and I really hope that
These are a bunch of liberals.
They are, or a bunch of Republican that are rhino types.
A narcissist.
Lisa.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Andrew.
Tired.
Okay, so I got one person that says something good. This other person tired. Like he's tired. We're tired of Trump. We're tired.
John.
Unsettling.
Melody.
High hopes.
Marie.
Mistake.
John from North Dakota.
Unrelenting.
Kathy.
Still right.
Eric.
Divisive.
Jim.
Overdone.
John.
What does that mean? Overdone. There's a couple of somewhat nice things, but most of these
It's not a compliment.
All Trump voters, they're supposedly are, right? Yeah, I know. Very, very few kind words about President Trump.
Georgia.
Fighter.
David from California.
Racist.
Jeff.
Keep in mind, these are supposed to be Trump voters.
Yeah.
Racist. That's the best word to describe Trump.
Fighter.
David from California.
Racist.
Jeff from Texas.
Sanctimonious.
Oh, like
Stacey
like
from
Ron
Indiana.
DeSantis,
Exactly.
Ron D. Sanctimonious.
Businessman.
Nancy from Illinois.
Calculated.
I'm going to do the same thing now with the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. I'm going to
Okay, now this is,
This is so stupid.
what cracks me up about this is NBC News. Tim Russert is going to rise from the dead and go to the studios and take control of this joint. So they had a couple of kind words, but they really weren't that nice. These are supposed to all be Trump voters, okay? So a lot of terrible things, racist, terrible things. Now they're going to ask...
Narcissist.
Yeah. Now they're going to ask the very same people the same question about Ron DeSantis.
Illinois.
Calculated.
I'm going to do the same thing now with the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. I'm going to go in the exact opposite order.
Promising.
Stacey from Indiana.
Oh, geez. Interesting.
Jeff from Texas.
Badass.
Kathy from Pennsylvania.
A leader.
Eric from North Carolina. Jim from Indiana.
Rising.
John David from Georgia.
I say the same thing. Fighter.
David from California.
Promising.
Andrew from South Carolina.
Leader.
John from California.
Visionary.
Melody from Washington.
Amazing.
Marie from New York.
The future.
John from North Dakota.
No apologies.
Lisa from New York.
Gutsy.
Becky from Virginia.
Future of the party.
Jamie from Iowa.
Refreshing leader.
Gregory from Nevada.
Future of the party.
Okay, that's the lunch morning show, folks. So not one negative word about DeSantis, but a whole bunch of negative words, some of the nastiest things you could say about, this guy, Joe Scarborough, you talk about Trump derangement syndrome. He's got it worse than anyone. He was in love with Trump, and then President Trump didn't want Mika to come after she had a full facelift, didn't want her to come to dinner with everybody at his fancy dinner party because her face was bandaged up like the Invisible Man, after this massive surgery. And now all of a sudden, his whole life revolves around attacking Donald Trump. Since that time, it's been like 5 years now. He can't get over it. His whole life centers around it. And he thinks we're stupid that people will watch this. Now, first off, Trump supporters are not watching MSNBC. Hardly anyone. Not even many liberals are watching MSNBC, right?
Exactly.
But they think that we are so stupid that we're going to fall for this. Oh, well, I guess, all these things about Trump, people are moving on. You would think that they would not have done this after Trump got over 87 million followers in a day on Twitter. That shows that people are very interested in him.
Yeah. No, and it's his focus groups are all, a bunch of baloney.
Kevin
anyway.
McCarthy's roommate, Frank Luntz.
Exactly. With their little parties.
All this Trump hate that you hear from these people, doesn't it make you all want to even support him more if that's even possible?
Well, he announced he's running, and so when does that kick off? Like,
it's happened.
No, I know, but when does he start campaigning? Like when he ran the first time,
Probably
I'm
after
trying
the
to
first
think
of the year.
back. When did he start campaigning? Okay, he ran in 2016. He was
I cannot
elected.
remember what month he
I
came
think
down
it
the
was
escalator.
like 2 years prior.
Yeah, it was like a 2-year campaign.
It was like a 2-year campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 2 years out from the election now. When do you think he's going to really start campaigning and doing rallies and interviews? But I think the media, it's not going to be like the first time. He hasn't been back on Twitter, which, I don't know if there's a legal reason. I'm starting to think that what Howie Kurtz said is true, that there's a legal reason he cannot go on Twitter, that he signed
Maybe.
some kind of thing, because I can't imagine anything else keeping him off that platform. So that's going to work against him if he can't get back on there. He's not going to get the interviews. The media is going to shut him out completely. He's not going to be on 60 Minutes or any, when he ran the first time, everybody interviewed him. He was everywhere. He had so much exposure because they didn't think he could win. And they propped him up because they really thought he'd be an easy target for Hillary to beat. And now they know he has won. He's been president. They're afraid of him. And you're right. They're going after him so hard because they are afraid he can win. But I'm wondering what his campaign is going to look like this time around. I think it's going to be very different than his first two times. The second time he was president, he was dealing with COVID. That made things more complicated. I'm just wondering how this campaign's going to work if he's not on Twitter, if the media shuts him out, and when is he going to start doing it? Do you think he's going to wait till after the holidays?
I know it doesn't seem this way now. But because it's been a long time since the first campaign.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
But the media stopped covering Trump in the first campaign, and they stopped covering the rallies, even on Fox.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. They were covering them in the beginning, and then when it started to become like a thing where they thought it was going to happen, they stopped carrying them, and you had to watch the rallies on One American News. And
I don't know. I remember the last day of his campaign, he did 5 rallies, and we watched all of them on TV.
On One American News. We had One American News on our cable then. Fox News and the rest stopped carrying them way early in the first campaign. It doesn't seem that way now.
No, I don't remember that.
Because there wasn't, the cable news stopped carrying them, but you could watch them online on YouTube. And One American News carried every rally. It was before like the rise of Right Side.
Well, what was their reasoning? Maybe because he had 5 in a day and they just didn't want to cut away from that much
No,
programming.
they had, when his campaign looked like he was actually going to win things, that's when they stopped carrying the rallies. And what they would do, and they did this on Fox, CNN, and MSNBC, they would have the rallies at the bottom of the screen in a little box. You couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
And then they would have regular programming.
I
And
remember that.
And they would tell you, well, if any news happens, we'll cut in. We're monitoring to monitor what you
Well, this is going to be very
see.
different. And I'm wondering when he's
Zero
going
coverage.
to start.
Media blackout.
And what that'll be a blackout. And I wonder when it's going to start and what it's going to look like compared to his previous campaigns.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen is Newsmax is going to go through the roof in ratings because
I think you're right.
People are going to I know a lot of people say One American News. Not many people have it anymore, and Newsmax is on a lot of cable outlets. So Newsmax, I don't know if Newsmax is on enough cable outlets to surpass MSNBC in the ratings, but Newsmax is going to carry every single rally just like One American News did in the first campaign.
Yeah.
And they're going to shoot up in the ratings, and the other cable outlets are going to go down in the ratings because obviously everyone wants to hear Trump. That's why they're following him on Twitter. And, this focus group with Frank Luntz, I love this focus group. It not just because it's absurd and funny and fake and all that stuff. It shows how the media really think of us in America. Let's face it, people that are the Washington and New York media elite are snobs, and they think the rest of the country that we're just a bunch of ignorant, uneducated people married to our cousins. And that even though the Roosevelts, FDR and Eleanor were cousins, remember? They were cousins and they were married, Democrats. That's right, they were cousins. But they think we're just stupid and will buy anything that they sell us. And what President Trump's first campaign did was completely destroy any credibility that the media have. People just don't believe the media. We were talking on the last podcast, you go to the media now to see if they're going to cover the news that you already know. You're like you just turn on Fox and the rest to see if they're going to cover the stories that you've known about because you get them elsewhere. And Elon Musk buying Twitter is really messing up their plans because Elon Musk, I bet you that you will be able to watch the Trump rallies on Twitter live.
Do they do live streaming like that?
You'll be able. You can stream other ways. There's all kinds of ways to do it. And they're updating the platform. And people are because obviously Elon Musk knows that Trump equals engagement on Twitter. And look, he's been lifting the bans on other people. Project Veritas. We need a Broderick Clinton.
What
rape
about
victim.
Mike Lindell? Not yet.
Not yet on Mike Lindell.
I checked today. Not yet.
But you know what? Maybe Elon Musk has been responding to people's tweets because. After we lifted the ban on President Trump and Project Veritas, I saw someone tweeted, I can't remember who it was, and they tagged Elon Musk, what about Juanita Broderick? And then the next day, Juanita Broderick, Clinton rape victim, was
so maybe
had her ban
tweet
lifted.
Mike Lindell because I have not seen that lift. Maybe it
Roseanne
just
Barr.
hasn't. Yeah,
Be
I
nice.
would tweet those two.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Lindell and Roseanne.
See,
for sure. I mean, he brought back Kathy Griffin. My goodness.
The common theme that you see with all that's going on is that we are not really truly in a free country. Being in a free country is an illusion. You know, this guy that Merrick Garland appointed as the special prosecutor investigating Trump on insurrection charges and all this Mar-a-Lago break-in classified stuff, comes out his wife produced the Michelle Obama documentary.
Yep. They're all, like you say, they're all incestuous.
Out of everyone that they could appoint to be the special counsel, it had to be someone whose wife produced Michelle Obama's documentary.
Yeah, of course.
Is it that incestuous in Washington?
Yeah, obviously.
Well, what's going on right now with Merrick Garland, and I am the only one who's been talking about this because I want to be very much on the record of this prediction. They have made a deal. They have made a deal with Merrick Garland to do this, which they know is wrong and criminal and everything else, and they promised him a spot on the Supreme Court that he didn't get.
You're kidding. What, you think they're going to put him there when there's a spot open?
Well, it's been going on now for 4 days. This is day 4 of it. They're blaming Justice Alito for leaking out the Roe v. Wade decision in advance. Remember that leaked out months before it happened?
Why would he do that?
I don't think that he did. There's no reason for him to do it.
Has he said he didn't?
He said he didn't, but they've got this couple that are, I guess were friends with Alito, who are witnesses who said that he told them. And so he was blabbing. And if you read the Huffington Post, see, this is why you guys got to watch some of the liberal news sources. The Huffington Post for about 3 days have been reporting on this, and I've seen it on MSNBC as well over the weekend, that Justice Alito leaked this out, and they're putting pressure on someone that cannot be trusted, and that's Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, to do something about it. And what they think
what do they want him to do?
Well, I don't know if it's a crime for a justice to leak it out. It may not be a crime for a justice to leak it out. Maybe a crime for someone else, like a clerk or something, but maybe not a justice. But these Trump derangement sufferers, okay, these liberals and never Trumpers, they're delusional. But here's their delusion. They believe that they can get Justice Alito either removed or forced to resign from the Supreme Court, which is not going to happen.
Oh, my goodness.
But
These people live in a fantasy world.
They're running the country, and they live in a fantasy world. Isn't that scary? And they have told Merrick Garland, we're going to force Alito off the court, and you're going to get the spot that Obama nominated you for. And McConnell would probably have the hearings tomorrow and confirm the guy. Mitch McConnell.
That's not going to happen.
Well, I know it's not going to happen, but they don't know that.
It's amazing how many things liberals are all probably into manifestation and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Mumbo jumbo.
The secret.
They're not,
manifestation means
they're not religious people, that if you think it'll happen.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're all into that kind of stuff. So they probably feel that if they talk about it, if they put it out there, if they get the media to talk about it, they can actually, they're all arrogant and have a God complex. Yeah. They can actually make it happen. They don't subscribe to the thinking that God has a plan for your life and he decides what happens. And you can make decisions and do things to manipulate and make things happen. But in the end, God gets the ultimate say. I mean, that's just the way it works. Mm-hmm. But they don't subscribe to that because they're not religious people. They feel if they think it, they can make it so.
Exactly.
And if they say it and talk about it and get the news to report on it, then they can manifest that and make that happen.
Yeah. And
I'm serious. That's how these people
these are the people
think.
that are running our nation and our lives.
I mean, how many times did they talk about Trump resigning? How many times did Anderson Cooper talk about that? Because he probably feels that if we talk about it enough, we'll get in Trump's head and he'll actually consider it. I mean, that's really how they're so arrogant, these people. They really think they can. Yeah. I mean, they think they can control the weather. So, I mean, of course, they think they can control how people think and what they do. I mean, that's how they are.
The wife of the special prosecutor investigating Trump, not only did she produce the Michelle Obama documentary, she's a campaign donor to Joe Biden and Tlaib. That's who they. So they have a campaign.
That's a radical liberal.
They have a Biden Tlaib. It's one thing to be a Democrat. It's another thing to donate to Tlaib.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's another thing just to donate, but to donate to Tlaib.
But the liberals will say, "Oh, that's just his wife. That's not him."
Well, they don't say that about Clarence Thomas's wife.
Exactly.
They don't like her being involved.
That's exactly right.
This is nuts.
Double standard.
This is nuts. And you know what's scary about this is that I have to read about this in the Gateway Pundit. This should be the lead story on. This is why
we'll tweet it. Get it out there.
Yeah. This is why I did. This is why Fox News is dead and useless to me, and I don't watch the TV news because they just accept Newsmax when I do watch TV. Because they don't want to report the news. All they want to do is cover up the news. They don't want to report the real news. If you guys want
to watch a really pro-Trump show, you got to watch Rob Schmidt and Greg Kelly. Those two guys on Newsmax, if you have to DVR them, they are a must. And let me tell you, both of those guys have a very interesting and well-thought-out take on everything that's going on, and both of those guys really expose the left for what they're really all about. Those shows, to me, are must-see TV.
Oh, yeah.
Those two, the Rob Schmidt at 7, he's up against Jesse. He's way better than Jesse. And then Greg Kelly at 10.
And he doesn't let the air out of women's tires.
To date them, that's true.
To trap them. To strand them in garages.
Rob Schmidt is gay. I think he's so good looking. I follow him on Instagram. And I never see him with a girlfriend, but he's always with a group of friends in the Hamptons, and he's always the odd man out.
Oh, really?
So I don't know. I could be wrong, but he's very good looking, and he's a nice guy, and he's a big Trump guy. I don't care whether he's gay or not, but I just an observation. But I could be wrong. But his show's a must-see show. He really has a pro-Trump. And last night we were watching, and he interviewed Dick Morris, and Dick Morris was at a restaurant.
It was so weird.
Doing the interview with waiters and dishes. It was pretty crazy.
Dick Morris, this was on Newsmax during Rob Schmidt's show, which is prime time. Dick Morris was zoomed in from his cell phone in a restaurant. It was so bizarre.
Like but hey, they're dedicated. I mean,
you know, it's so interesting. You know, that one of the benefits of COVID is things are much more casual now.
Well,
right?
You're right. Since COVID now, people do interviews remotely more. They used to not do that. You'd have to come in the studio. But now because of COVID, I see the same thing on QVC. They remotely bring people in, so you have more opportunities. So I don't know if it's very maybe weird. Dick Morris forgot he was going to be on the TV.
No,
or maybe
Dick Morris doesn't care. I saw Dick. I love Dick Morris. We have him on the radio.
Nothing's going to interrupt his dinner time. Apparently,
we have Dick Morris on the radio, and he's a very eccentric guy.
He is,
and I've had him on many interviews over the years, and he just doesn't care. And I was watching him on Greg Kelly, and this was a live interview. And right in the middle of the interview, Greg Kelly asks him a question, and he starts to answer it. And then he just reaches over and casually gets a glass of water, stops talking, Dick Morris, and just starts drinking the water. And Greg Kelly's like, okay, we'll just sit
love
here.
Greg Kelly. We'll just sit here and wait. He's got a new book coming out in January.
Dick Morris?
Greg Kelly.
Oh, Greg Kelly.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, no, Dick Morris, though, he's on Newsmax a lot, and you really should pay close attention to Dick Morris. Because he is a senior top advisor to President Trump who talks to
Trump
him
all the time.
Pretty much daily. He talks to him.
Yeah.
And when he says something, it's right out of, Trump's thought process or things that he's advised him on.
Absolutely. Those two shows you have to watch, though, 7 and 10 o'clock, Rob Schmidt and Greg Kelly. Yeah. They really are, to me, the most pro-Trump shows on TV now.
Well, I'll tell you, Dick Morris told Steve Kane and I this when we had him on the radio. A lot of people with Trump's speeches at the rally, he's talking about all his accomplishments all the time. People are critical of that. And Dick Morris was telling us that he advised President Trump to keep going, to tell people his accomplishments.
I like hearing that.
And what Dick Morris said, everyone else running is going to tell you what they plan on doing, what they will do. President Trump has a long list of things that he did do. And, there's a commercial.
And he did a lot.
Yeah, there's an online commercial that Carrie Lake tweeted today. I can't play it to you because it's got a lot of music on it that I can't play. But she tweeted this commercial that just goes through the entire Trump presidency of everything he did. And the liberals are just having, they're calling her a suck up and all of this stuff because of it. But I watched this commercial just a little while ago before the show. President Trump did so many great things when he was president. I forget about them. He did so many things. It's hard to recall all of them.
And it's good to know that because if you're having a discussion with somebody who doesn't like Trump, they're 9 times out of 10, they're going to ask you, well, what did he do? How many times have you heard Brian ask a caller about Biden? Well, tell me something Biden did or has done that's good for the country, and they can never give you an answer, not even one thing. So if somebody asks you, what has Trump done? You need to know, and you need to be able to tell them, well, he made us energy independent. He started the wall. He reduced a lot of regulation.
He kept the economy going when the entire economy was shut down.
Reduced taxes. Yeah. The job numbers were better than they had been ever.
Straighten out Kim Jong-un. Went to North Korea.
Big thing he talked about.
He went to North Korea, stopped the North Koreans from launching weapons.
Yeah, there were no wars or launches of missiles or anything.
He's the first president since the Second World War that did not start a new conflict.
Yeah, there was something else he mentioned the other day that I had forgotten.
He's done so many things.
That was like really,
the highest level of black
Roe v.
employment.
Wade, that's the biggest. Roe v. Wade to me is the biggest.
Yeah,
that alone is, if that was his only accomplishment, it to me is the greatest accomplishment any president has ever accomplished.
Oh yeah,
other than Lincoln freeing the slaves. I think those two are at the same level. But he did that, saving thousands, millions of lives.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that. How many Republicans ran on overturning Roe v. Wade?
All of them.
Never intending to do it.
All of them for 50 years.
Lying to the American people. Never intending to do that at all. I never, ever thought that would be overturned in my life.
Never.
And it happened because of Trump.
Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Music lovers, there's a hard rock band out of Perth, Australia on YouTube that you're going to want to check out. Interflow on YouTube at Interflow Official. They combine their musical influences of the 70s and 90s rock into a style of music that's energetic and entertaining. Interflow began honing their craft and perfecting their songs while gigging around Perth and Fremantle. And in October 2020, they released their debut EP, Influence. Interflow are fast becoming known as one of Perth's best bands. Check them out on YouTube at Interflow Official. Subscribe and share Interflow on all of your social media so your friends can subscribe to Interflow Official, the official channel of Interflow on YouTube. Want to know where all the bodies are buried? Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob. Welcome to Mob-Ammy Beach. This book is a fictionalized account of Miltenberg working at a mob-owned Miami Beach hotel in the 70s. If you're a fan of The Godfather, Goodfellas, or The Sopranos, you will love this story that's full of colorful characters and wisecracking wise guys. It's a story with everything from Playboy bunnies and weaponized parrots to shattering the glass ceiling and getting away with murder, all in paradise. This is a wise guy tale you've never heard. Surrounded by pools, the trick for Bobby Moskowitz was not slipping in the one thicker than water. Bobby lived to tell the tales, and now you can read all about it. The funniest mob novel since Jimmy Breslin's The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. From author Robert Allen Miltenberg, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Comedy podcast fans, there's a podcast that will have you on the floor laughing. Gene and Ozzy bring you the company of two fun-loving and joke-cracking old friends. They're two old friends that discuss all kinds of things, but no controversial subjects and no politics. It's a fun and clean time you can count on to make you smile. It's perfect for your drive to or home from work. Take a break from the stresses of life and have a chuckle as you listen to Gene and Ozzy discuss your favorite topics.
Hey, I'm Gene.
Hola, I'm Ozzy. Welcome to the Gene and Ozzy Show.
Did you want to be Darth Vader?
Never.
What?
No, that was not my favorite character on Star Wars. And sometimes you had no idea how to even play the game. I can't describe Joust to you. I had no idea what that game was all about.
Stuart had more toys than I did.
You know, I got to meet the Stuart one of these days. Is he alive?
He's still alive. He's our age, and
at our age, you got to ask: is he alive? Like the kids ruled the world in the 1980s. Everyone,
we ruled the world in the 1980s.
Yeah, of course, parents still beat us to death, but we felt like we had the upper hand on.
Parents had the real control, but in our brains, we ruled the world. The thing about my Aunt Lizzie was she had a smoker's voice.
And it was like this. And see your Aunt Lizzie.
Sounds like you were alfalfa in school.
Oh, it was terrible. Beyond your imagination how terrible I looked during school days. What is it? What were the shoes that we would wear in the 70s and 80s?
Buster Brown shoes.
Buster Browns. Buster Browns.
The Gene and Ozzy Show, brought to you by your favorite host, Gene and Ozzy. Find these two funny guys on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. Add the Gene and Ozzy Show to your playlist right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I saw this on Twitter. I couldn't believe this. Somebody tweeted this today. Two transgender women that are biological males that are like online influencers, like on Instagram. They have been hired by Tampax to promote Tampax products on their social media. And right now on Twitter, one of the hashtags that's trending is boycott Tampax.
That is just the dumbest thing I've ever
you can't make
heard.
this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. It's
Even
so
if
weird.
Okay, say you're transgendered. Let's get into the minutia of this. Say you're transgendered and you're a guy and you become a woman and they do the surgery. You still don't get your period. They don't put ovaries in you and a uterus. You don't have female organs.
Yeah, who wants to have that anyway?
So I don't understand. It's not like they get their menstrual cycle. Okay? I'm sorry. This has become from the, what is the saying? From the sublime to the ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
It's become ridiculous.
Exactly.
I don't know why these companies do these things. Are people running the companies into this? I don't understand. You get one person at a company, like that Disney executive who's got like a gay kid, and they make it their entire freaking agenda to completely transform the company to make their kid feel good.
No, there's one.
I don't get it.
There's a Disney executive that has two children that are in an alternative gender situation.
So now the whole Disney, everything about Disney has to accommodate.
I wanted to talk about this with Disney because there was a big story this week with Disney that has made it into the regular mainstream news. The CEO of Disney was fired like out of the blue this week, Bob Chapek, and they brought in the past CEO to run the company again. And it's being reported that it's over his wokeness. That's not entirely true. It's not because, this guy's too woke. We can't have this radical wokester. The Disney company and their board of directors didn't mind the guy being woke until it started costing them money.
Yeah.
And, what's happened is this. It's, what Kathy was talking about. There's a Disney executive that works in the entertainment division who has two children that are living in genders other than the ones they were born in. And one of them's a gender I never heard of before. But I thought I knew.
There's like 30 genders, they say.
I don't know.
Or something.
And they started getting really woke with the entertainment end. And there was last year, it might have been the beginning of this year. I can't remember if it was the beginning of this year or last year, but there was a Zoom meeting that was a private Zoom meeting with Disney employees and executives that leaked out. And they were actually bragging amongst themselves on how they were put in the background of cartoons, gay characters in gay situations that most people wouldn't notice that are subliminal. And what this did is it leaked out. It caused all kinds of problems. And the reason they fired the CEO of Disney is because the stock price dipped. If his wokeness didn't affect the stock price, they wouldn't have fired him. So don't be misled.
Well, Disney is still woke. What they're trying to do is they're blaming him for all these failures, like you talked about, and also the Reedy Creek. There all these things that happened on his watch, and they're blaming him. And what they're trying to get out there is that it's his fault because he's really woke. Even though they still are woke, they want it to give the impression that Bob Iger's going to come in and he's anti-woke. So Ron DeSantis will work with him and change things. Oh, well, now we have an anti-woke person, so let's go ahead and give them what they want. Don't be fooled. They're still just as woke as they were.
You know, the thing with most companies, because people think most companies are liberal, and there are a lot of liberal companies. Okay, I'm not stupid, but most companies that you think are liberal, they're only liberal because they think it's good business. And like what happened at Disney, this wokeness has affected their stock price hardcore because people have been boycotting Disney. So they're going to make a lot of course corrections, and a lot of it will be away from this public wokeness and liberalism. There was just a big thing with Starbucks.
We'll see.
The Starbucks employees are trying to unionize, and look how Starbucks, a very liberal company, all of a sudden is anti-union. Companies typically, there are exceptions to this, like Twitter. Twitter almost now it's different with Elon Musk, but Twitter before, with all the snowflakes running it, they almost had a monopoly. So they didn't really have competition. Mm-hmm. I know there's other social media, but they really didn't have competition. So they had an arrogance where they didn't have to correct it. But when there's something where there's a correction, like say McDonald's got all woke and people like enough, people would start going to Burger King, right? So and McDonald's would adjust. Companies typically aren't political. They get intimidated oftentimes by liberals because liberals are so vocal and intimidating and nasty to these companies.
It's like a shakedown.
Yeah, they get shooken down a lot. There's shakedowns a lot, and they cave to it. But what's happening now is conservatives are standing up. The first time this happened was over 10 years ago with Chick-fil-A. You know, what happened to Chick-fil-A was so strange. Then the president of the company was on Huckabee's show on Fox, and he said, all of our executives on our board of directors are married to our first wives. And immediately the gays who were fighting for gay marriage then, which they now have, said, oh, he's anti-gay. He said they're married to the first. No, what he was talking about were Christians who are divorced and remarried to their former mistresses. And there's a lot of that going. Had nothing to, and the gays started attacking Chick-fil-A, and Christian conservatives had an entire day nationwide where they went out in support of Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A overcame that. And
they kind of gave up on the Chick-fil-A. You know why? Because Chick-fil-A is awesome, and everybody loves Chick-fil-A. They have a good sandwich. They have a good product. People love the food. We have a new Chick-fil-A that just opened about a mile from our house. They have 2 drive-in lanes. It's nonstop.
Oh, it's always packed, except on Sundays.
Good mac and cheese.
There's no line on Sundays.
So they kind of gave up on that thing because it just went nowhere.
Well,
they moved on to the next.
What you're seeing, like with this business with Disney, conservatives are standing up and protesting.
Yeah.
You know, when this woke thing happened at Disney, for the very first time ever, there were, for a number of weeks, months, there were protests of conservatives outside the gates of Disney. It got a lot of publicity. And, you know, people talked about it. I did vlogs on it. And I was thinking about this today. I may do another vlog at Disney looking for wokeness. I was thinking about this, of going to the Magic Kingdom and looking for wokeness in the Magic Kingdom and looking for things that aren't woke, because there are a lot of, and see how woke the park actually is inside. You know, liberals are very arrogant. And, you know, it's like this focus group we were talking about in the first segment on Morning Joe there. Liberals are so convinced that they're right. Now, I know we believe we're right, but conservatives are the ones that are open to different thoughts and ideas. We don't shut people down because we disagree with them. We don't lie and try to destroy them because they have an opinion that's different from ours. That's what the liberals do. And they go to these companies, they shake them down, they scare them, they intimidate them. And it's about time that people stand up. And this guy that they fired from Disney, a lot of it has to do with Governor Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis took on Disney, which no one really has done before here in Florida. And look, they're caving. And you watch. They're going to walk away from a lot of this wokeness that they've been doing that's given them so much bad publicity and has hit their stock prices.
Well, I think they're going to do it to try to get back their Reedy Creek status and maybe ride out his 4 years. But they're still very woke. And I don't think that's ever going to go away. I mean, I could be wrong, but it clearly is bad business. But I think it has more to do with Disney prices and their parks not being
there's a lot.
Kept. There's other factors too.
There's a mix of things, but this woke thing that Disney was doing damaged the brand. And a lot of, it's like CNN. We talk about this sometimes. There's more changes at CNN. The CNN brand has been damaged.
And woke is definitely not good for business. That's for
sure. No, go woke, go broke, right?
That's right.
And what happened to Disney is the wokeness started to damage the brand of the company, and they're going in to make a correction. Because, when you have a company you really like that that's open to everyone, you really don't want to get too partisan political because you want to do business with everyone.
Yeah, I don't understand why companies get so political. I think it's stupid.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Well, I
don't get this whole Tampax thing. Why are they doing this?
That's bizarre.
This is just dumb. Transgendered men cannot use tampons, so I don't understand what they're thinking.
I don't know about tampons. I know what they are. But
you know what they do.
I know what they do and I know what they are. But is there some alternative to tampons that women are using?
Pads.
Okay, and maybe they're like...
And there's other brands other than Tampax.
Well, are they...
that's the biggest.
Maybe Tampax... I know this sounds... I mean, I don't know much about tampons, but I know about marketing.
I would hope not.
I know about marketing, okay?
Yeah.
And what I'm wondering is, Tampax, do they think, well, we have competition now. There was a time when Tampax was probably it. There's this whole new demo we haven't reached out to, the transgender.
No, there really is no competition with Tampax as far as tampons. They're the leading. If you go to Walgreens, you'll see a whole aisle of Tampax brand. They have every kind you could. They have a million different
ridiculous
kinds.
Conversation.
They are. I know. They are the most. It's kind of like Kleenex with tissue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's really no competition. There's pads, but you either use one or the other, usually if you're a woman. But I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand why they're doing this. All women need to use these products. They don't really need to advertise because all women need to use these unless they're in menopause or have had a hysterectomy or under the age of 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So you have every woman in the world from the ages of like puberty until menopause that has to use these products. So they don't really need this kind of publicity because they have a product that women have to use.
And there's really no competition? There's not like other...
Not for Tampax, not really.
No.
I mean, there's really not another brand that's as well-known or that people, as far as I know,
Watch, we're going to get tons of comments listing all the different brands of tampons. That's all we're going to hear.
I'm kind of out of the loop. I had a hysterectomy 10 years ago. That's what I used to use. That's what our daughter uses. Yeah. Here's a newsflash. Guys do not use tampons, no matter what gender they say they are.
Well, and from a marketing standpoint, reaching out to the transgender,
it's bizarre.
Doesn't make sense because they might go out and buy tampons, but they're never going to use them. So the box, I
don't get it.
You understand what I mean? The box isn't going to get used.
Why would women buy them? Why would they even go out and buy them?
So they can feel more like a woman.
Oh my gosh. You know what? There's messed up people. They probably would.
That's true. Hey, listen, we're going to take a quick break.
This is, I think, the weirdest conversation we've ever had on the show. But hey, we talk about everything.
This is the world we're in now.
Oh,
guys are buying tampons for themselves,
my goodness gracious.
Not their wives. Yeah, I know. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. We'll switch gears, I hope, and be right back.
The newly released poetry book, Broken Wings Can Fly Too, from author Paulina Sophia, engages in free thinking and challenges the constructs of our society. This must-read book helps readers gain a new understanding of womanhood and nature. Order now. Broken Wings Can Fly Too, from author Paulina Sophia, available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Finding cool and unique gifts for the nerd in your life can be tricky. Luckily, LVL Uplife on Etsy makes it easy to find awesome accessories and apparel. Cuddle up with their Jack Skellington Nightmare Before Christmas throw pillow and their comfy Ditto Pokemon blanket. Add some interdimensional fun to any desk with their Rick and Morty mouse pad, stocked with Pokemon, League of Legends, anime, Rick and Morty, and much, much more. There's something for everyone. Give your friends and family, or maybe yourself, the gift of epic nerd accessories and apparel from LVL Uplife on Etsy. Go to Etsy.com and search LVL Uplife. That's all one word. LVL Uplife on Etsy. Order now. Parents, grandparents, and teachers, there's a book for your middle schooler that you don't want to miss. Zoya's Journey, a children's book that brings magic to life. Join Zora on her adventure of self-understanding, growth, and acceptance. If you're a fan of adventure stories with a magical touch, you'll fall in love with Zoya's Journey. It features gorgeous, awe-inspiring illustrations for both children and adults to enjoy, bringing the story to life with every page. Zoya's Journey will teach your children the importance of being resilient and encourage them to love themselves for who they are. Be a part of Zoya's Journey. Visit Zoya's Journey on Kickstarter.com to contribute and get your copy of the book Zoya's Journey on Kickstarter.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, so the Supreme Court, this is breaking news, actually. It just happened. The Supreme Court is allowing the Democrat-led committee access to 6 years of Trump's tax returns. And Trump tried to stop this. It's the Ways and Means Committee. And, you know, the thing about Trump's taxes, this is the purpose for the taxes, okay? They've already had the taxes. They've already seen the taxes. They were always asking for taxes. They did the same thing with Mitt Romney. Guys like President Trump at that level, they have the way they do their taxes, we cannot even understand, okay? What you and I know of, unless you're a very wealthy person listening to the program, and I know we have wealthy people that listen, but for most of us that are working people, what we consider to be taxes is not what Donald Trump's doing. It's something totally different. And they know people that are wealthy have all these deductions and everything, and what they want to do is show what his declared income is after all the deductions, and it's not going to be that much.
Well,
and they want him to look like he's poor, not as rich as he says.
Weisselberg, who worked for him for a long, long time, has recently testified that Trump and Don Jr. and Eric were in some tax things that they were hiding
I don't
things.
believe any of that.
Well, that's what he just testified to last week.
Yeah, but he was facing years in prison.
He worked for the company for 40 years. I know, but that's what they're basing it on. And he testified, he's been with them for 30, 40 years, and he said that they lied about things and manipulated their taxes and did. So that is what this is about. They think they got him again, and now they're going to look back on the last 6 years of his taxes. Of course, he was president and most of that time. So yeah, I guess so. So I don't know how that worked, but they think they got him again on this because of this Weisselberg guy.
Well, no, they got Trump's taxes in New York. They went through them, and look at this government, right? This government that's been after Trump all these years, that break into his house at Mar-a-Lago. They've already gone through his taxes.
And nothing.
So if there was something in Trump's taxes, it would have been leaked out years ago.
I think so.
And nothing came out. So there's nothing in there. But what they want to do with this.
Another fishing expedition.
Yeah, what they want to do is show what his declared income is, which will be much less than he says he's worth. And they'll say, look, Trump's only makes $5 million a year or $250,000 a year, whatever. You know how these rich guys do their taxes? None of them make any money. Everything's always a loss. You know what we mean. And they want to make it look like he's not as wealthy as he claims to be. Everything is about trying to soil his reputation. Mm-hmm. They're always running some scheme to try to get us to turn away from Trump.
Well, yeah, they're trying to malign him in any way they can. I mean, that's what this Frank Luntz thing was about. It's relentless. It never stops, and if you think it's been bad up till now that he's running again, when he really starts to campaign, forget about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be everywhere, all over. They're going to try every single opportunity they have to use their platforms to malign him, to try to turn you against him.
Yeah.
And this little stunt of having Trump voters supposedly saying bad things about him. You're right. They just think people are stupid, and they'll hear that and they'll say, oh, well, I guess I got to go along with that too and believe he's a narcissist too. It's whatever. They're just trying to manipulate everybody.
Well, they don't understand that nothing they do is going to turn us against him. And it only makes him stronger and firms up the whole MAGA movement. You know, you were pointing something out to me, too. I've noticed this, too, and maybe some of you have. The Never Trumpers don't say MAGA. They say MAGA.
They say MAGA. They were like
MAGA.
Biden, Kinzinger, they refuse to say MAGA. They say it MAGA. And
That's
they
right.
do it because, to me, they do it because it's like it's like when somebody purposely mispronounces your name, it's like a big F you, like they're saying your name, but they're not saying
That's
it right.
right.
And it's a very petty way to get a dig at somebody because, and Trump has actually addressed it, which he should not do. He has said they don't say it right and this and that.
MAGA.
They're doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
To get a rise out of him and other people. And they do that on purpose. So just ignore it.
Let them keep doing it.
Who cares
Let
what
them
they
keep
say?
doing it.
Exactly.
Let them keep
if that's what they're clinging to,
that's all they got.
that's all they got. It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, it is. But that thing where they say MAGA, it's almost like they've gotten together and decided.
Obama says it that way too.
I don't know. There must be a secret meaning to it.
Yeah,
There's got to
I'm sure
be a
there
secret
is.
meaning to
They
it.
have
that we
conference
don't know.
calls.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And they decide this is what we're going to call it. Or they just imitate each other. Like Obama said it, so now they all say it that way.
Yeah, and there's an article in The Hill today, the 7 Republicans to challenge Trump. And some of them are, you're right off the top of, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, number 1. Then number 2 is Nikki Haley. I don't trust Nikki Haley. She said bad things about President Trump. I don't trust Nikki Haley. Then 3 is Mike Pence.
Well, yeah, he's got nothing else to do.
Pompeo is after
they've said that.
him. And Glenn Youngkin, who is not really a MAGA guy. He didn't want Trump campaigning with him. The governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, I don't know why he would be a front runner. Ted Cruz. Who else did they? Is that it? That's 7. Yeah, those are the ones. There's no one there other than Ron DeSantis that's exciting. And, they want to have, and they may be successful in this, they want to have him challenged in the primaries and put up a bunch of people who know they can't beat him because they want to make it seem like he's not so special. He's a president of the United States.
Yeah,
no one should oppose him in the primaries.
Nobody like Trump. I really don't think DeSantis is going to run. I know he hasn't said he's not, but I just can't see him running against Trump. And
he's not going to.
Wouldn't it be so funny if he doesn't? And they've been talking about it for so long and propping him up and DeSantis this, DeSantis that, and then he comes out and says, I'm not going to run right now. All of their hopes and dreams would just, seriously, they got nobody else that they think can beat him, Trump. And what if he comes out and says, I'm not going to run yet? Then what are they going to do?
Yeah.
They got nobody. That's it. I mean, they got nobody now. I mean, DeSantis they just did a poll. Trump put it on Truth, where he's way ahead of DeSantis. He's still ahead of him in the polls. I'm sure there's some where DeSantis is ahead, but those are probably, altered a little bit. But, a lot is going to happen over the next 2 years. Things are going to change. I'm still not convinced DeSantis is going to run. I could be wrong, though. He hasn't come out and said no, but that could just mean that he's keeping his options open and just waiting to see what happens. It is pretty early. I don't think most people announce this early that they're running for president. It's 2 years out. He'd have to announce by next year, I would think, a year ahead.
Well, and most people are smart enough to understand that DeSantis, who they're really laying off now, as soon as if he became the nominee or the front runner, they would immediately start attacking him and trying to tear him down. And you know what they're going to go after him for, right? The banning of books in Florida schools, critical race theory, the woke act, what he did with Disney and all this stuff. They're going to be after him like you wouldn't believe, and they're laying off of him now because they want it to seem like the left and the media and the Never Trumpers. Like Ron DeSantis is not offensive to anyone. Nobody's offended. He's somebody
they're definitely holding back.
Yeah,
right now because
I love everything Ron DeSantis has done.
They want him to win the primary. They want Trump out, and that's their hope.
We all love everything Ron DeSantis has done. He's a great governor, and everything he's done is right and perfect.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's awesome. But the media and these Never Trumpers, they very rarely say anything negative about him. They used to do this with John McCain for years. They were pushing John McCain. to try to get him to be the nominee, and they finally got him as the nominee. And then what happened? They called him a racist and a Nazi and everything else.
Yeah, remember that cover on Time where they altered his image to make him look like the devil?
Yeah.
Little do we know how accurate they were, but
yeah, right.
But that's what they do, and the same thing with Trump. Before he won the primary, the media was very nice to him. And I've always said, I think Hillary told him to be nice because she wanted him to become the nominee. Mm-hmm. She figured, this will be a cakewalk. I can beat this guy. He's a clown. And they were very nice to him. And the minute he won that primary, they really, really turned it on. And then then of course when he won, that was it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it never stopped from the moment he won with the Russia collusion and the fake this and all these fake stories, Stormy Daniels and all these people coming out of the woodwork. So, that's what they'll do. Now, if Ron DeSantis wins, all of a sudden you'll see women coming forward. I had an affair with him and he did this. I mean, you'll see it. That's their play.
Oh, yeah.
That they do.
Not that those things happen.
No, but that's what they do. They bring these women forward to say, he did this, he did that, and this is what happened 20 years ago. And that's their playbook. I mean, you think they don't got that stuff in the back of their mind ready to go?
Yeah.
I mean, these people
absolutely
play by their own rules. They don't care what's wrong or what's right. All they care about is money and power.
Oh, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And we have some new Patreon supporters. Those of you that are new as Patreon supporters, welcome. And make sure you go to the Patreon page and look at all the perks that Patreon supporters have access to. And I was just on the Patreon page today, and you, Kathy, have been posting all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, I post pictures and
from our home life. I did not know this, but you were putting a lot of private pictures up there. That's good. I don't care. Patreon supporters.
Nothing bad.
Well, there's nothing bad to take a picture of anyway.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I'm not taking pictures of you like sleeping or anything embarrassing or anything like that. Just little things.
But there are private moments. Private moments.
Little private moments.
So make sure you check all that stuff out. And when you're a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, and Rome, Wisconsin. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description, but there's also a direct link on my website, which is my brand new website, BrianCraigShow.com. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.